I'm Patricia Valone with a CTV News Update. Maryland test scores are reflecting nationwide learning loss trends in schools. The National Assessment of Educational Progress measures 4th and 8th graders in reading and math every 2 years. The assessment shows a continuing downward trend that began in 2013 and worsened during the pandemic.
As a result of the pandemic, the schools were closed here for quite some time, almost 2 years, and we pushed the local school system to get the schools back open, but there's no question it had a huge impact on the kids.
Now, Hogan spent much of today touring sites in Prince George's County, including Eleanor Roosevelt High School in Greenbelt. The governor wanted to highlight the state's Access Initiative, a program that expands access to computer science education.
So we started this in 2017 to make sure that every school across the state of Maryland was required to and able to provide computer science education, and it's made a huge difference. We have just skyrocketing numbers with the number of students, the increase in the number of people that are getting access to these courses, particularly among women and students of color. And it was just great here. Eleanor Roosevelt's a perfect example of really smart kids that have had the opportunity to learn and that are, just taking it to new levels.
And Hogan also visited National Harbor and the University of Maryland this morning. Well, early voting begins this Thursday in Maryland. Individuals who are eligible but not yet registered can register and vote. Early voting centers will be open from 7 a.m. until 8 p.m. from October 27th through November 3rd. Meantime, a new report finds Maryland is a national leader in voting integrity, ranking 2nd in the country. The Democracy Initiative Education Fund, which wrote the report, is a coalition of 75 civil rights, environmental, and civic organizations dedicated to building democracy. 7 COVID-19 deaths have been reported in the last 24 hours in Maryland. That, according to the state's health department. Over the last 2 years, more than 15,000 people have succumbed to the virus statewide. Meantime, the agency says 676 new infections have been recorded since yesterday. 449 people are currently hospitalized with COVID. And you are watching CTV News. I'm Patricia Valone. Still ahead, a family reunion like no other. Byron Scott has the story of 99-year-old Dorothy Smith meeting her family for the very first time. Stay with us. Welcome back. Well, it was a dream come true for a 99-year-old woman from Philadelphia. Dorothy Smith never knew her parents or any of her biological relatives from Maryland. That changed over the weekend thanks to DNA. Byron Scott has our story.
This was the exact moment on Saturday in Baltimore that 99-year-old Dorothy Smith got to meet for the first time the relatives she never knew.
Oh my God, I said, oh my God, because I was surprised to all these people. I had a big family that didn't even know nothing about them, never see nobody until today, But I'm glad I met them, some of them. I still don't know who they are.
She is my grandfather's daughter, so she's my auntie.
All these people, my Lord.
Born in Philadelphia on December 22nd, 1922, and growing up in foster care, Smith never knew her birth parents, aunts, uncles, cousins, or siblings.
They've all passed.
How many was it?
There were 7.
She had 7 children?
Your father had 7 children.
Well, to tell you the truth, I was raised in a foster home, and I never paid it no mind until I got older, and I tried to find my mother and my father, but I couldn't find they just had nothing on them.
She's my father's sister.
And today's your first time meeting her?
Yes, it is.
Your thoughts about that?
I'm excited. I'm glad. I'm very, very pleased to meet her.
Smith, who goes by the nickname of Minnow, made it clear that she wanted to meet her family before she passes and pressed the issue with her granddaughter-in-law, Carrie Burton, who had her take a DNA test.
So when you go onto the site after you do the test, it tells you who is a match. So I just reached out to them through the app, actually, the Ancestry DNA app.
She would be my great aunt, which is my grandfather, Harold Giles. That would be her brother. Okay? And my great-great-grandfather would be her father.
Over the course of several weeks, Smith's tree started to take root. It was determined through research and DNA that Dorothy's father was Willard Satterwhite Giles, and her mother was Queen Dixon.
Well, it made me feel good so I got somebody that, that showed me who my family was,
So if you have abilities now with the resources.
The event in Baltimore over the weekend included a genealogist who spoke of the importance of family research.
Well, you're going to want to not just make this a one event. You want to make this moment a movement, right? Keep it going, get in touch with everybody, get connected, find out who everybody is.
Smith was presented with a genealogy report and collage of her family. Her roots extend to Virginia, North Carolina, Maryland, Florida, New Jersey, and other places yet to be determined.
Well, I thank God that I can be before I pass, and everybody's been so nice, letting me know who they are, and my cousins, my nieces, my nephews. It's nice to know who I got a family.
Byron Scott, CTV News.
And what a great story. Thanks, Byron, for that report. Well, Prince George's Councilmember Todd Turner steps down after getting nominated for a new executive role. Turner submitted his resignation Saturday after he was nominated as Executive Director of the Office of Ethics and Accountability. The former council member was at the end of his tenure in District 4 as seats are term limited in the county. The county council must approve Turner's nomination to the new post. Some lawmakers have expressed opposition to his appointment. Largo High School band instructor is indicted on sex abuse and other charges. Lonnie Elias Jr. was the chairman for the school's performing arts. The victim, who is now an adult, was Elias's student. She says the abuse occurred between 2015 and 2017. State's Attorney Aisha Braveboy says the allegations are serious and alarming.
In order to really protect our young people, we have to give them information. We have to let them know that there may be adults and other children who seek to harm them, to abuse them, to take advantage of them, and that they must set boundaries, that no one is allowed to touch you unless you give them permission to. And that if someone is older, above the age of 18, that they are not to touch you at all.
Now, Elias has been employed by the school system since 2007. He was placed on administrative duty starting October 3rd. Elias was arrested October 21st and taken to the Department of Corrections. Police investigate a deadly pedestrian accident. It happened just after 8 o'clock Saturday night on Martin Luther King Jr. Highway near National Harmony Memorial Park. The man, whose identity has not been released, was pronounced dead at the scene. The driver did remain on site and is said to be cooperating with investigators. A Maryland couple says mysterious strangers moved into a house they just purchased and are now refusing to leave. According to WUSA 9, the couple signed a contract to buy the foreclosed property on Thursday. By Friday, the house, which is located on Dragoo Place in Clinton, was occupied and the strangers refused to leave. The next day, the mysterious tenants put up a no trespassing and beware of dog signs. Police say the issue is a civil matter for the sheriff to handle. And still ahead here on the news, a sports page roundup. Stay with us.
Regardless of where you are on your path to retirement, you can still take charge of your financial future today. Visit aceyourretirement.org and answer a few questions from Avo, your friendly digital retirement coach, for free tips, resources, and advice customized for your situation to help you feel confident and prepared for retirement. Retirement looks different for everyone. Make sure you're prepared for your financial future at aceyourretirement.org.
Well, the Washington Wizards played in their first home game of the season this past Friday, and despite being counted out of most Eastern Conference rankings, this Wizards team looks to prove people wrong. CTV's Laurencia Moten has more.
That's right. I'm here in Capital One Arena, home of the Washington Wizards. Now, this team might be the underdogs of the Eastern Conference, but with Kyle Kuzma, Bradley Beal, and KP all on the same roster, don't count this Wizards team out. They just might shock the league. And fans were eagerly waiting to see their Washington Wizards in action this past Friday night for a division rivalry game against the Chicago Bulls. The Wizards organization had tons of fan festivities for the home opener, from autograph signing from alumni to a Capital One fan studio. But all of the attention would be on three key Wizards players. All-star Bradley Beal scored 19 points, combined with both Kyle Kuzma and Kristaps Porzingis' contributions, made up for more than half of the team's overall points. After the win, I asked Kyle what he thought about their chemistry thus far, and this is what he had to say.
I think it's damn good right now. And, you know, we haven't really had opportunities to really play too much together. If you look back last year, it was me and Brad for a little bit. He got hurt. Then it was me and KP for 7-8 games. Then I got hurt. And then if you look at preseason, Brad didn't play that much in preseason. KP, you know, here and there. But, you know, we just all know how to play basketball. That's what it boils down to. Brad is going to make the right play. KP's going to make the right play. I'm going to make the right play. And we're all going to be aggressive at the same time. And, you know, I always say it, you know, we've all been in situations where we've had to play off ball to better players, whether that's John Wall, Luka, or me, AD, and Bron. So when we have the ball, we understand and know how to play off the ball. And it's really fun. And we have a good connection right now.
I had the chance to also ask Bradley Beal how this connection grew so strong in such a short amount of time. And this was his response.
Japan helped. You know, we were there for 5-6 days and really tight schedule, but it forced us to more or less be around each other. But I'll take it back even a little bit further. Coach required everybody to be here in D.C. after Labor Day. And I would say, so everything from the summer, us being in L.A. at minicamp to training camp, to before training camp, reporting into DC, getting workout in, hanging out, playing pickup, like that builds that camaraderie, that builds those relationships. And then obviously hanging with guys outside the court, going to eat, you know, hanging out, whatever it is, you know, that builds it too. And it's just all a big carryover into the floor.
Now moving on to yesterday's game in Cleveland, the Washington Wizards win streak was broken by the Cavaliers. But to no surprise to anyone, Bradley Beal scored a team high of 27 points. I must mention that the game was extremely close and actually went into overtime, but the final score was 117-107. Back to you, Patty.
All right, and the Bowie State University football team faced off in a tough matchup against Chowan University this past weekend. The game was close throughout, but Bowie ultimately fell short in a 21-15 loss. The Bulldogs had multiple highlight plays, including a punt return for a big gain by Quincy Hall, who also had a 60-yard reception. Another big play was made by Tyrone Ferguson, who recovered a muffed punt, and Bowie State would try for a first down on 4th and 1 late in the fourth quarter, but fell short, eliminating any chance of a comeback. Head coach Kyle Jackson spoke after the game.
My mindset and my coaching style is one day at a time. We got to win the day. You know, unfortunately, you know, we didn't win today, but understand that we got to go back to work tomorrow. So we got a 24-hour rule. Even when we win, celebrate it for 24 hours, you know, take your morning for 24 hours, but we got to go back to work. You understanding that nobody is going to lay down for us. Understanding that we still got to go to work and prepare for the next opponent, you know. So it's just one of those things, you know, like I say, no one ever want to lose, but you take it for what it is and keep moving.
And the Bulldogs are now 4-4 and go up against Elizabeth City State University next Saturday. And that wraps up our CTV News Update. I'm Patricia Vallone. Have a great night.